Okay, so in today's class, basically we will discuss about some more types of tests on the basis of theme. Like yesterday, we have discussed about basically few things like what is individual test, what is group test, what are its merit and what are its demerit, and which one is better for us, right? And even I also explained that. That UPSC try to check our ability by the test, right? So in that, even I have uh, given you three questions, right? Right, for the writing. So have you written that questions or not? Why not? It is one of the nice things. So you should note, right? You should try to write the answer whatever I have given in the question. You discussed each other very nice. And right now, what is important for us, we need to discuss some other themes of the test, like that is intelligence test, right? So, mentioning heading that is intelligence test, right? Intelligence test broadly we can classify into three groups. Intelligence broadly we classify into three groups. The first groups of intelligence test is what? That is individual test. Even other classification is also possible. Individual test. So there is individual test. Getting my points? Other is the test which we conduct into group test. Other is Indian test. So here is three groups of intelligence tests are given. One is individual, other is group, as well as So mention in your copy. Yeah. Yeah, I explained all these things into the cognitive psychology also, but even I explained about the theories also at there, right? As I mentioned in the first class, while you want to prepare the second papers, so you must have understanding of first paper, because few concept of the first paper will repeat in the paper two. So like here, few things will repeat. So here I mentioned about, and I want to mention here some individual tests. Like there is a SB test, we call them Simon Binet test. Simon Binet test is here. So this is a basically SB test is a individual test. So you can write about this. This test was made in 1905. So this test was made in 1905. Getting my points? Because there is a one important concept, that is IQ concept, right? So in 1905, this test was made by Binet. So what was the reason behind the making of this test? Actually, you know well, in the 19th century, Ajay, listen properly. Right, in the 19th century, when industrializations come into the Europe, most of the European countries were basically competing to each other. So how the country will compete? By the enhancement of their human resources. So the Western countries, basically European countries, enhance their human resources by the giving good educations, by giving good, uh, you know, skill in them. Yes. So the European countries, when they were struggling or when they were basically working for the betterment of their country, yes, betterment of their country, at that time most of the parents, even at individual level, most of the parent goes to office in the morning, very early in the morning, and they come back late in the evening. So in between the periods, they don't have time basically for the child observations or rearing to their children. In that cases, childs, if they are non-directional or directionless, so whatever in their minds they can do. Getting the points? So the European students, especially European children's, uh, especially from the France, they were not going to school. It means going to school because parents is not at home. Nobody will force him, right? Even in the very early morning, parents wake up and prepare breakfast, and after that, bete we wake up and just take breakfast and go to the school. But in that case, what was happening? Students were not going to school. The attendance of France school or French school goes to decline. Resulted that French government become very much upset. Why? Because their capital is human. If students were not going to school, then it is definitely stress for the country. So they have wrote the letter. This government has written a letter to the parents. Even they have given government has given notice to the parents, but childs were even not participated into the schools or school curriculum. Resulted, the government of France has written a letter to a professor named was Binet. Binet was a great professor of Stanford University from France. It is the University of France. He was a great professor. France government has written a letter and basically ask them or basically mention their concern and ask him to find some conclusion on this issue. So the Binet has finally concluded this test. Getting your point? The conclusion of the Binet was this test. So first intelligence test made where? It is in France. Made by whom? Simon Binet. And our Simon was fellow, even Binet was made. Other is made or the who has recommended about this test? French government. This was made for which category of people? Children. Getting? So that the test become very much popular. 1905. In 1903. The first intelligence test. Yeah. Before that, even before the Simon, there was other psychologist name was Galton. Galton has even already tried to make a test, but the test was not succeeded. Even in the whole world, the first intelligence test made by Egypt and China. In China, China was using intelligence test to recruit their employees. That was around 2000 years ago. But in the modern era, first it was tried by Galton in 1885, but Galton was not succeeded in the making of intelligence test. The first successful intelligence test made by whom? Simon Binet. Why he has made? I mentioned. Right? Because of the government was feeling anxiety. Yeah. China was using very successfully, but its test was not revealed or not organized for the students or not revealed at the large scale such as European country has revealed. Right? So many regions, I hope China has not given their test. One of the reasons that test was mainly for the recruitment of the officers. One of the reasons. right? Other reason maybe do not want to provide. So how we can take Jabardasti? It is not possible by forcefully, right? So first test was made. And why did Galton test fail? Was it not reliable? No, the Galton test was made on the basis of biological assessment. Means it was based on biological principle. So on the basis of biological principle, if we are checking anyone's intelligence, it is sometimes critical to assess. Ready? It is difficult to assess, so that it was failed. But when Binet has made this test, so this test become very much popular. This test become very much popular. Why it become popular? Because it has been revised by psychologists many times. Like first it was revised in 1916, then 1937, then 1960, then 1986, then 2003. Means you can write for UPSC only one words, means SB test was revised multiple times. Means this test was revised multiple times, not a single time. Getting my points? Multiple, why I'm mentioning? Many times. And there was a psychologist in 1913. There was a psychologist name was William Stern. What was their name? William Stern. William Stern, right? William Stern, he has introduced a new concept, IQ. What is the full form of IQ? Intelligence quotient. So IQ concept has come, means here is intelligence quotient. Right? Quotient is here. Intelligence quotient. So IQ concept has come, right? That was given by William Stern. So what was IQ concept? IQ is equal to mental age, means ME by CA. Mental age upon chronic age. So chronicle. Mental means the age of our life, age of our mind. And chronicle age means our broad. Chronicle age means our biological age. Getting my points? So there was a concept ME by C, and here was other things that was multiplied by ME by C into 100. This concept given by William Stern. Later, there was other psychologist in 1960. Name was very popular, who has added new things in it. That name was Terman. Name was Terman. Terman has basically added new things in it. There was a table, that is table or intelligence table. Here is IQs. Means like there is a 100 IQ, right? 101, 110, like that. Means he has made IQ table. Ready? Ajay. So here is one important concept. What is intelligence? Intelligence is just a journal ability. Note down in your copy. Intelligence is a journal ability or global ability. A global capacity, not ability. Intelligence is a global capacity. Intelligence is a global capacity. Getting it? So if someone is below this global capacity, someone is, suppose this is a normal. So if someone is below than normal capacity, we call them to retarded, mentally retarded. And if someone is better than this general capacity, we call them to brilliant, genius, whatever, superior, etc. etc. So how we identify this? How this IQ means how this definition became into quantitative terms after the coming the concept of IQ. IQ has converted this definition into basically a technical version of intelligence. Getting it?
Is there the concept of enhancement?
Means whenever there was there was just like a definition of intelligence. When IQ concept has come, it has been basically become more specified, more defined, more clear after the concept of IQ. Getting my points? Like if someone IQ is 100, right? Like someone IQ is 100, so the person will be normal. The person will be normal. And if someone IQ is above of it, so that person will be definitely abnormal. It is abnormal. Or we can say the person will be genius, the person will be brave, the person will be intelligent. Means if someone going to above this level, so the person have geniusness, right?
So is it IQ?
This is IQ tables concept. Means someone IQ is above the 100, then he will also consider normal, but not abnormal. Why? Because he's a genius, he's a brilliant. You know, there is a brilliant. Brilliant due to their brilliancy is not a normal mind. Like Einstein, whose IQ was 100 plus. So he was genius man. Getting? He was genius man.
So, but how do we identify the mental age?
We will mental age, we calculate it.
So chronicle age, so I am 22. That is the chronicle age.
So there is a certain concept with help of that we can easily identify your.
So chronicle age is my age.
And mental age I will identify if you want to check your IQ.
No, sir, I'm just asking.
If you want to know your IQ, I will tell you. First of all, I will calculate your mental age. Then chronicle age is given because everyone knows, right? Even there is a very simple concept I want to tell you, but first we need to discuss on this, right? So as I mentioned, this is a global capacity. This is a normal intelligence. If someone IQ is what? 100. So it means normal man. And if his intelligence is above the 100, that is abnormal. But this abnormality in the form of geniusness, brilliancy, or any in good words. Getting? But what about here? If someone is below this normalcy, they are also abnormal. They are also abnormal, but they are considered as retarded. Retarded. What type of retardation is there? Mentally retarded. They are mentally retarded people. Getting? Yes. So retarded. So there is different types of retardations has been mentioned by different psychologists, because this table was not only provided by Thurman, this table was even provided by many more psychologists. Getting my points? So according to WHO, the retardations are like, you can notice that the person who is 90 to 70 75 IQ, 75 IQ, 90 to 75 IQ person have what? What will be there? It means they are regular educatable. Regular educatable means we can educate them in our regular classes, but their performance will be poor. They are called backward child. Getting? They are considered as backward child. And what about other things? What about other things? Those IQ whose is 75 to 50, they are educatable childs, means we can educate them. Educatable. But by special teachers. Right? By special teacher. They are educatable. But by special teacher means those childs whose IQ is just 75 to 50, we can provide them education, but not by regular teachers, by normal ordinary teachers. Getting? So that and IQ of 50 to 25, these childs are basically right. These childs are different. Means those childs who are at the level of 50 to 25, they are basically careable. Means if they need to care, we call them to care, right? So we need to care to them, or there is even other words. I think that is not coming in my mind. केयर के अलावा भी एक वर्ड्स होता है उसके लिए, और ट्रेनेबल होता है. यस, दे आर ट्रेनेबल चाइल्ड्स. These trainable childs basically do not go to school, and they require someone assistant in a special occasion, such as if they want to like travel in bus, someone need to assist them. Like if they goes in any marriage party, someone need to assist to them. Getting my points? Because they are trainable childs. And the child whose IQ is 25 to 0 IQ, these childs are basically nursing child. And these things has been explained in different manner in NCERT. That is class 12 NCERT. As I mentioned, I am explaining according to WHO. According to NCERT, it will vary.
So means the interval is same, but the wording is different. Or the interval is also different. 90 to 75 is also same in the NCERT, or it is different?
Approx, just numbers will be up and down, but they are below that. This category will be 4 there. Even in NCERT, there are 4 categories given. But problem is that IQ's numbers sometimes increase, like 1 or 2 or few numbers may be increase or decrease, or their name may be different. Right? Like retarded, other is invoid, etc. are the names. So the last category is nursing child. Nursing child. So these are the basis category of childs. Right? So this retardation was studied by even many neuroscientists. Getting my concept?
Yes, sir.
So later, this means after this revision, all these revision, right now this test is applicable too much. This test is applicable at least 2.5 years to at least 80, 86 or 82, 83 years तक के बच्चों के ऊपर it is applicable. मीन्स ये 23-24 साल तक के बच्चों के लिए कितना बच्चे तो थोड़ी होंगे मीन्स दिस टेस्ट इज एप्लीकेबल from 2 years to 83 years of person. This test is too much applicable. And in which setting we apply? we can apply in a different setting such as school, such as hospital, right? Hospital and in clinical setting, in clinical setting, right? Means this test can be applied in a different setting. Getting my points?
So why in hospitals?
Because
Treatment.
that
Identify.
many persons go, many individual go to the treatment of their anyone relatives or anyone's कोई भी हो सकता है.
So क्या influence करता है sir mental age? Heredity.
हाँ, heredity and environment both. Entire psychology is influenced by both heredity and environment.
School, hospital.
School, hospital, clinics, and many more settings. Counselings,
Organizations.
counselings also. Counseling also. Getting? So this is the concept of IQ. Right? So if somebody asks you, question, note down question. Even UPSC is also asked question on this topic. On this topic. So note down question. What do you mean by IQ? What do you mean by IQ? Right? How IQ is beneficial? How IQ is beneficial to understand any individual behavior? How it is beneficial to understand any individual's behavior? How it is beneficial to which category? Yeah, because intelligence tests basically help to categorize, are you normal or above the normal or below the normal? Getting my points? So this IQ principle help in that case. Getting? And it is used to treat even children. It is used even to children. Like if somebody asks what are the uses of IQ, it is used to identify someone, and so I think get it, right? So this is the first intelligence test of individual. Second test is Bachelor test. Second test is Bachelor test. Bachelor. And right now, what are the you can even write the merits of SB test. 2 points you can also note in your copy. Merits of SB test. What are the merits of SB test?
Scientific.
First merit of SB test is that there is no exploitation or any type of punishment given.
There is no
Any type of exploitation, punishment, all these are used right to assess individual intelligence. We are not exploiting to someone else, right? If you are responding me well, I'm just asking question, and if you will not corresponding to my asked questions, so definitely I will not.
So does it talk the method of introspection?
No. There is certain questions are given. Next is, and this test conduct in very humble environment. this test conduct in very humble environment. Humble means polite. So this is the other beauty of the test. Conducts in very humble environment. Other beauty of the test. This test has revised several times. The other benefit of SB test is revised several times. So whatever its drawback, it has been corrected. It means right now its validity is very good and reliability is very good. Getting? So other benefit of this test, SB test, other benefit of this test that we can conduct this test on a very diverse age of people. Right? We can conduct the SB test on very diverse age of people. Very diverse age of people. इसको बहुत डाइवर्स लोगों पे अप्लाई कर सकते हैं. Getting my points?
So how much time will it take to assess a person's IQ?
How much times? It takes just maximum to maximum 1 hour, minimum at least 45. The ideal time of assessment or using of any intelligence test is 45 to 60 minutes. This is the ideal time. So right now, what are the demerits of SB test? Demerits. This test is not applicable to some age groups. Like the person who is just 2.5 year, 5.5 year, or in this half year, 3 months people fancy. Anyone like 7.5 year means in that case it is not applicable. Getting my points? They didn't get. I'm saying that this test is not applicable, such as the child below than 2 years. First drawback this. Second drawback means the child who is 2.5 years. How we will apply? Getting? So this is, I think, a drawback. The child who are very small, how we will apply on them? How their data are reliable? We cannot rely on their data. Other benefits, just mention too. Even you can understand it better while we will compare SB test by bachelor test. So we need to compare. Yeah. So as we mentioned, this SB test was made emergently. Just to summarize, you need to conclude it. This test was made by SB Simon Binet in France in 1905 on the recommendations of France government, and this test has been revised several times, and due to the revisions there is one important concept come out. That concept name was IQ. IQ means that intelligence quotient, and intelligence quotient, the formula as I mentioned on the screen, you can see that, and then this test has this test is totally all about the defining the normalcy or abnormality or below the normalcy. So this has been even this table has been prepared by several psychologists. Like first it was prepared by Terman, later on it was prepared by many more psychologists. Even here I mentioned the tables according to WHO. According to NCERT, these numbers will be different, so you can check it. Even it is given in class 12, chapter number 2 is there, that is self-efficiency chapter. No. That is in disorder chapter. Disorder chapter, unit number 4 is given in that given. Right now, second concept of this. Second concept of this. What was concept of? Second concept of it after the bachelor. So SB is an individual test. Other is a bachelor test. We call them shortly WAIS. Bachelor Adults Intelligence. Alright, bachelor Adults Intelligence scale. Bachelor Adult Intelligence Scale. Right? So Bachelor Adult Intelligence Test. First of all, you must have idea what is basic difference between SB and Bachelor. What is different between Bachelor and SB? Bachelor has made his test first for children. As I mentioned, it was first made for children. Later, it moves, later it converts for also adults. ये बाद में adult के लिए भी बन गए. But bachelor test was mainly designed, it is mentioned adults. Right? This was made for adults. And later it converted for the children. This is one of the biggest difference in that. And bachelor was test. Bachelor was what? Test. Getting? And what about? It is a scale. It is clearly mentioned. So test and scale both are not same.
What is the difference, sir? What is the difference between test and scale?
Test means where we find a score by ourselves. But about the scales, where the basic, all the things are mentioned, only you need to put in that list, in that categories. Like this is based on nominal scale. Nominal scale. And here we use ordinal scale. Ordinal scale. This is one of the other difference. Ordinal scales as well as nominal scale. Getting my points? So if you have, if you can distinguish between SB and Bachelor by 3 points, this is sufficient. Getting? Right now, Bachelor test, as I mentioned, it is made for adults. And this test comes in 1939. And it has been even revised 4 times. First is 1944, 1955, I think 1990, and in 2008 also. So that this test is revised 4 times. And here is basically 2 scales. What scales? Verbal scale and performance scale. So in a bachelor test, there is a 2 scale, verbal scale as well as performance scale. And this scale means here is 2 scale are there. Like there is an individual. First of all, we will put them on the verbal scale. On the basis of their ability, we will check their verbal concept. Like verbal means vocabulary. We will check their sentence framing. We will check their other things. So that is verbal scale. Initially, when Bachelor has introduced this test, there was 7 verbal tests. There was 7 verbal scale. Right? On the basis of that 7 verbal scale, Bachelor checks any individuals verbal ability. Getting? Even on the performance scale, they also check our what? Other abilities, performing abilities, like picture completion, choice and order. All these, even 7 scale are there. Both total scale are how much? 40. But after the revision, the number of scale he has been changed. He has changed. He has changed the number of scales. Getting my points? The number of scale has changed. And the final of the SB was based on neurological test. Yeah, neuropsychological measurement. Neuropsychological assessment. Finally, it is based on neuropsychological assessment. So that this test is too much reliable right now. This test is too much reliable because of Wechsler test. Because Wechsler test is using which scale? Which tools? Neuropsychological tools. If any test based on neuropsychological principle, the test will be more reliable, more accurate. Right? So the accuracy of this test is increased right now. Yeah, abhi zyada hai iski accuracy.
So more than SP?
No, we cannot say that SB. SB is applying different contexts, and it is applying different contexts. Right? Like if so see, someone will check my intelligence on the with the help of Wechsler test. What it will reflect? I hope we are good in verbal skill. Why? Because we are teachers. We speak a lot, but the scientists
Do good in
performance. What about civil servant?
So both balanced.
Balance, mid-fold path, mid path.
So like, I didn't have the clarity that there is a scale. There is a scale, but there are activities to do. So when you do good in the activities, you get placed in that scale.
Yeah,
So this is what
that is. With the help of all activities, they check all these verbal skill on performance skill. Getting my points? So this is one of the nice concepts given by Wechsler.
So if you want us to write differences also.
Difference is given, right? So what we will write about the Wechsler? Wechsler test was made mainly for adults, but later it shifted toward the children's ability. Even there is some other version like WPPSC, Wechsler Pre-Primary Scale for Children. Even it have other version WISC. Getting? All this has been developed. All these has been developed because of it moved toward the children. तो बच्चों की तरफ गया, so that it is right now. Right? So what are the merits of it? The merits of Simon Binet is same as the Wechsler. The merits of Wechsler is similar to the SB merit, but there is a drawbacks which we can also mention in the previous one, these tests we are conducting. So इसमें एक ड्रॉबैक ये है कि बहुत ज्यादा इसका जो यूजेस है, एक्चुअली मुझे मिस हो गया, दैट वर्ड आई मिस्ड, एक्सट्रीमली अपोलोजाइज.
So it can be misused. Can it be misused?
ये कोई वर्ड मेरे माइंड में आया था, स्लिप हो गया. आई थिंक हो सकता है दोबारा आ जाए, गड़बड़ हो गया. चलिए कोई नहीं, अभी हो सकता है. हाँ, सो बैचलर टेस्ट and SB test both we have discussed, right? Right now, what are the what is we need to discuss? That abhi aata hai. That both tests are basically culture based tests, not a culture fair test. SB test and bachelor test are culture based tests. It means, you know, this test was made in France. So it means it is mainly for French culture, not for Indian culture. So why we need to study? हमें क्या जरूरत है इसको पढ़ने की? Getting? So this is also a drawback. Right now, even we can tabulate the name of all other intelligence tests. They are not even important for UPSC indirectly, but here is first is SB test, means Simon Binet test. Simon Binet test. Other is Bachelor test, WAISC. Other is RPM. Other is KABC. ABC, कौन बनेगा टोटल?
Peabody.
Other is Peabody test. Peabody test is there. And what about the group test? Like here is alpha beta test, cube test, which is made by Alexander. Other is the DAP, draw a person test. Right? All these are basically made for the group assessment. Right? And then here is some Indian test like Bhatia assessment battery, right? Bhatia assessment, Ramaswamy Lingam, Lingam has also made the test. Even Pathak, Parmila Pathak. Parmila Pathak has also made the test. SM Mohsin. So all
SS Jaloti or
Jalota नहीं बोला. Jalota and many more has made the test, right? Even I think all these details do not require in EVS. Only they ask what
IQ.
Concept of IQ and the concept of etc. Even in Indian version, sometimes they ask about Bhatia assessment battery. Like this test was definitely derived from the Western SB test. They derived over here. This is derived from SB test, right? So the principle of SB is similar to here. And most of, you even note down this line, most of the intelligence test was made for the assessment of child's ability. Most of the intelligence test was made to assess children's ability. Few of them are culture fair. Few of them are culture fair. Like there was a psychologist named was Cattell. Kettle has also made a culture a fair test. Kettle has also made culture fair test. Like Kettle has also made culture fair test. Few of the tests are used into groups as well as in individual setting. Ready? Means these tests are used in individual setting as well as group setting also. So individuals and group in both conditions it is applied. It can be applied. As I mentioned many times, intelligence is not a unique ability. Intelligence is just a global capacity. Aptitude is our specific ability. Even you can note this line. Aptitude is our specific ability. Intelligence is just a global capacity. So we are checking here. The person have general ability or not. Like here is a question. Note down. Note down one question. Right? What do you mean by intelligence test? What do you mean by intelligence test? What do you mean by intelligence test? Mention the component of, yeah, according to you, mention the components of good intelligence test. So Ajay, what component do we write at here? Mention according to you what component are essential for making a good test. What are the essential component for making a good test? What components are essential?
Culture fair.
No. Reliable, valid, standard, norms, objectives. Any test, every test requires this, right? Intelligence test. Ready? So here we discussed about intelligence test as well as personality test.
Sir, we don't have to go detail.
We are not going detailing in that.
In exam also.
Exam also. Even I can teach you detail because I teach for UGC also. So that I can teach, but it is just move above your head.
So, but only classification.
Classification is sufficient. And somebody asked, if asked the detail of little bit, there is bachelor and only 1 and 2 are sufficient. Like if you want to know that CPM means RPM, level progressive matrices, there is a APM, there is a CPM, there is a SPM, lot of things are there. And there is ABC, there is a processes and consequences checking, reward and similarly all the tests are. I think no need to go in detail of it because it is not a mandatory. Right? So right now creativity test. Third is creativity test. On the basis of thematic test we are doing here, we are going to discuss about creativity test. Creativity test. creativity test. You know that creativity means to create something new. Creativity means to create something new. Right? Which not exist, which do not exist. So creativity test means create something new which do not exist. जो चीज exist ही ना करती हो वो कुछ create कर देना. Getting my point? So creativity थोड़ा सा पढ़ लेते, थोड़ा सा मजा आएगा. Like right, little you need to know creativity. So anything which is based on FFOE, that is means if you want to create anything, it must have at least few components. Few components are important for making creativity. That component is FFO. FFO. First is fluency. Creativity should be in a flow. Enough that should be fluency. Fluency. Like here is the iPhone. Suppose iPhone 1, iPhone 2, iPhone 3, right now iPhone 12. So this is a big example of creativity. iPhone is a big example of creativity. And earlier there was bulb. After the bulb there was tube lights. Tube lights. Tube lights of Salman Khan was not jali nahi. Tube lights. Then there is CFL. Then here is LED. Right? So all these are based on only one principle. But there is also something new. So there is a that is a fluency. There is a flexibility. Right? Fluency, flexibility. Other is elaboration. Elaborations. While and other is originality. O for originality. Fluency, flexibility, and originality. Ready? Fluency, flexibility, originality, elaboration. So if anything have these four components, it means that things will be basically what? Original. Another is a taste of creativity. Right? A taste of creativity is there. Like there is one creativity which is related to personal life, like dressing sense, hairstyle. This is creativity related to personal life. It is called mini C creativity. Mini C. Here is the little c, mini c, pro C, big C. Little c, mini c, pro C, and big C.
So these are types of C.
Yeah, there is a four types of it. Yes, I'm telling you. All these basic things are important for understanding of creativity. Means is related to personal. No, literacy is related to just literacy is related to personal, and ministry is related to daily life. Like one day you are going by car, one day you are just by other things. So this is related to personal, yeah, personal. Other is daily life. Profession, related to your profession. Proceed, and any big, like making of is equal to mc square. So this is a big creativity. And just discovery of the concept of which one, Ajay? Discovery the concept of gravity, IQ. So all these concepts are basically a big scale. Statue of Mona Lisa, right? A Statue of Liberty. These are the big scale. Means the creativity which influence to a lot of people. Getting? So that this creativity is the uniqueness of any individual. It is measured on basically three parameters. Basically, we measures on the three parameters, or basically even you can two parameters. Creativity. First is international as well as Indian. Indian as well as international. What is international? Like Guilford. Guilford has first tried to measure creativity on the several parameters. Even there was around 13 parameters as used. But few of them are important to assess the anyone creativity. Like he has used one of the concepts. He has used one of the concepts that is ask and guess. Ask and guess. इसमें आपको guess करना है. By this we can improve your creativity. Like if I ask Bay of Bengal is located in which sea? Don't speak. किस state में पड़ता है? Bay of Bengal is in which state? West Bengal. West Bengal is above the Bay of Bengal. Any other ask and guess. Have you played sometime riddle with your friend? Have you played riddles? Riddle खेला होगा जय. Getting just explaining. A riddle. Have you played it or not? A long back. So that ask and guess. We ask questions to our friend and say guess. By that, we check our creativity. Second is consequences. It is consequences.
Sir, एक question. Sir, can I ask a question? Sir, जिसकी हजारों आँखें होते हैं मगर देख नहीं पाते.
Right.
हम यही करने पे गाने सुन ले वो आंखें देख नहीं सकते.
So what is it?
सर बोलते हैं सर पीकॉक नेमली कल्लू बोलते हैं तेलुगु में. मतलब पीकॉक has so many eyes.
Okay. So consequences, things are there. Other is, so consequences means just if just imagine if the sun start to stop providing light, what will be the consequences? If Earth Earth is stop to revolving or doing rotations, what will be consequences?
First is oxygen production will stop.
So that is a source of creativity. So आपके मन में बहुत सारे thoughts आएंगे. That means lot of thoughts will come in your mind. अच्छा ये हो सकता है, this में भी all means whatever is possible things is in your mind that we will try to explain.
So the more the consequences, the more creativity.
Yeah, just think if all the doctors and from the earth, what will be happen then? सबके चप्पल गायब हो जाए धरती से, then what will be happen? What will be happen?
So the consequences that you are giving also shows your creativity.
This is means creativity means consequences. What will happen after that? Anyway. Other is third. Guilford has also tested our creativity by using some other things like unusual uses. Unusual uses. What is unusual uses? The uses different from the usual. Unusual uses. Unique uses. Unique uses of anything. That is called unusual uses. Like the usual use of brick is what? Making for building, making for house. But unusual uses of brick, Ajay, what is your creativity? Unusual uses of bricks. Bricks, you know that? What are the uses of unusual uses? I that unique uses of anything, like the brick can be used to hit someone else. To it can be used to basically break anyone's window or glasses. Other uses, the bricks can use for making powder, chili powder, because it is in red color. The businessman. Huh. And it is also used to fix nail in the wall. This is my creativity. And it is also, some used by some fruit seller vegetable to weight anything. I was seen that. वो ब्रिक्स का टुकड़ा बना लेकर के बनाते हैं, वो उसी पे रख के बोलते दिस इज वर्ड. हाँ, it is a such is creativity. So we can also cricket ka wickets. It is used for making wickets of the cricket. That is the creativity.
Small children make rooms.
Rooms for it. So means what are the unusual uses of anything? Like this marker is used to write especially on the board, but this marker can use for different purpose. Suppose any females they can use in here also. वो लगाती नहीं है. Like my ma'am also used sometime when I was a student. So वो पेन को पीछे घुसा देती थी. Pencils also sometimes because कुछ नहीं मिला तो पेन घुसा दिया. And it is also this can also used to कहीं दीवार में घुसा करके उसको कुछ सामान को रखने के लिए. Hanger, it works like a hanger as a nail also, and it is used to kill something. We have seen a movie Jai Ho. Ready? So that there are the various uses of these things that they can. So Guilford has given this concept. Other is the tolerance. Torrance has also, this is called TTCT. Other is RAT, remote association test. So there are the few creativity tests like TTCT.
Sir, Torrance spelling TU.
Torrance test of creativity.
TU.
No, TO. Torrance. Torrance test of creativity. Other is Indian test like here is Bakar Mehdi. Bakar Mehdi is here.
So RAT is also under Torrance.
No, it is separate. Here is remote association test. Remote association test. RATC. Remote association test. Getting? So next is like Professor K.N. Singh. K.N. Singh also made the test. Other is verbal and non-verbal given by made by NCERT. Many more tests are there. That is created by some Indians. Getting? So creativity test.
So variable, what is the third one? Yeah. Third one.
Verbal and non-verbal.
Okay, sir.
Verbal as well as non-verbal. Verbal as well as non-verbal test. Ready? So you can write few common words for the creativity. Creativity and innovations are the two important. Creativity, innovation, and are the two important tools for resolving the several issues of society. Right? Issues of society. You know that, such as air purifier helps into reducing in air pollutions. Water purifier, metro,
So like rainwater
rainwater harvesting.
Right.
So that we need to create a lot. Even India have very less creativity. Even you can notice also, okay, India have very less creativity. Indian people need, Indian education system need to be more creative. इसको ज़्यादा creative होने की जरूरत है. Because by the creativity we can resolve the most of the problems. Our government, our bureaucrats, our public servants should more creative. जितना ज़्यादा creative होंगे public servants, bureaucrats, and so many, so that will be too much beneficial for the country. Too much. Ready? So what we have discussed in today's class, we have basically discussed about intelligence test as well as creativity test. So these two tests we have completed, and next is aptitude test, right? Mention in your copy, aptitude test, and you need to collect its handouts from the office, right? So इसके handouts भी आप ले लो. It for every class there is given both handouts are used current that will too much.
The paper to handout of first chapter is available or individually we have to?
No, have you taken any notes of them? There is given. Just you need to go and collect it, and then I will inform them. So thank you for the today's class, right? And remaining we will do on tomorrow's class.